Cheers, everyone. I finished brewing my English brown ale. It came out really nice. Basically, it's pub session beer. There's some differences considered whether it's Northern English or Southern English. I like to find the middle ground. This is a malt forward beer. So hopping is really primarily for just enough bitterness to balance out the sweetness. I don't like overly sweet beer. This is a session beer, very drinkable. There's a nice medium body. Has a good mouthfeel. The color came out great. It's holding its head. This will clear out more. It's only been a week since I kegged it up. After a couple weeks, I'll do a follow-up video to show you how much more it clears out. It is a brown, darker brown color, but it still should be crystal clear. So it's already cleared out very nicely, and it will continue to clear out with time. The chocolate flavor shines through. It's a nice little chocolate flavor, a little bit of honey, very malty. No significant contributions from hop flavors, just a bitterness. It's got some good lacing. The final ABV was 5.25%, so not a very strong beer, easy drinking. You can drink quite a bit of it. That's why it's more of a session beer. The northern varieties tend to be a little bit drier, a little bit higher in alcohol content. The southern varieties tend to be a little bit sweeter, maybe a little darker, and on a lower alcohol content. This absolutely is not an American brown ale style. I do not hop it like an American style. I prefer the more English style. I am just an American brewing beer. So please, any Brits out there that have opinions about English brown ale, American brown ale, Northern or Southern, please hit up the comments and let me know what you think. But I love what I know of as English brown ale. It's one of my favorites. The pub yeast can put off some mild fruity esters. I'm not getting too much of that coming through. It's very clean. It's malty, it's bready, it's toasty. Can taste that honey coming through, can taste that caramel coming through, can taste that chocolate coming through. I think they started calling it brown ale because of porters and pales. Otherwise it was just ale or beer. But after the porters became popular and the pales became popular, then, well, we named this brown ale. I love it. This is a very easy beer to brew if you're just getting started. It's not complicated, there's not a whole lot to it, and it's simple. It's a simple recipe, simple process, highly drinkable beer, any time of the year. I'm going to take you through the entire process from grain to glass, show you the whole thing. I always appreciate when you give that thumbs up, let me know that you like the video. I think a good pub brown ale is perfect going into the winter season. Please subscribe if you find value in the content. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to see. All right, let's get to it. Cheers, everyone. 5 pounds of Maris Otter. Another 5 pounds of Maris Otter. Another 5 pounds of Maris Otter for 15 pounds total. That is 2 pounds of honey malt, 1 pound of caramel 60L, 1 pound of Munich malt, and 1 pound of chocolate malt. I mill the grain at 4/100ths of an inch spacing. I have 2 pounds of flake barley, which I will not mill. All right, I'm ready to mash in. I've got my water profile good enough where I want it to be. I use Portland Bull Run Reservoir water, which is fantastic water. It's some of the best in the world. It's very soft. There's a low mineral content to it. I really want it malt forward, and that's what I'm shooting for. So I added liquid calcium chloride. I added 3 milliliters to bring the 2.3 to 2.5 parts per million. It's an average. I don't know exactly what it is. I didn't test the water. So to bring that 2.5 parts per million up to around 30 to 40 parts per million of chloride. I just want to make sure that it is more chloride than there is sodium. That'll put me at anywhere between 1 to 2, 1 to 3 ratio, sodium chloride ratio for a malt forward beer. That should work just fine. My pH was 7. I had 3 milliliters of lactic acid. This is about 12 gallons here, and it brought it down to 6.2 pH. That should work good. Once I mash in, if I can get anywhere between 5.2 to to 5.6. I'm gonna be fine with that on the pH, and I'll test it, and if I need to make an adjustment, I will. We're ready to mash in. My water's at 160 degrees. I find with this volume of water, which I'm about 12 gallons, usually there's about an 8-degree temperature drop Fahrenheit once I add all my grain. My desired mash temperature is 152 to 154 degrees. If I mash lower, it could end up thinner and drier, but for a brown ale, usually you like a little maltier, slightly sweet, not overly sweet. So I find the sweet spot is around 152 to 154 degrees to mash. This is the 15 pounds of Maris Otter, my main base malt. Maris Otter is similar to two-row, but it's more traditionally used for English ale. Got to mix it up really good to avoid dough balls, which is just clumping of grain. We don't want that. We want the water to touch every surface of every grain. Now I'm adding my specialty grains, which is the honey malt, the chocolate malt, the Munich malt, the caramel 60L, and flaked barley. That smells really good. Well, that dropped 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Exactly, it's sitting at 152 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna let that mash. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm gonna give this a good mix. I'm also going to check my temperatures, and I'm gonna make any adjustments I need to make. Right now I'm sitting at 153 degrees. What I did not record was after 15 minutes, I did come back, I did stir it, and I turned the propane back on, and I brought it up to temperature to 154 degrees, so it settled back down. I want to maintain the entire mash between 152 and 154 degrees Fahrenheit for this style brown ale. That's what I want to do. You've got different equipment, different cooking procedures. It's really difficult to follow someone's recipe and have it turn out the same way because the process is different and the equipment's different for everyone. With my system, I have a large volume. I'm doing 11-gallon batches. There's about 12 gallons in here right now. With all of the grain, it's measuring closer to like 14 gallons. To maintain this temperature, I have this on propane. I will make adjustments. I'll heat it up very slowly because I don't want massive spikes in temperature change. I will stir while I'm adding heat. So if you're using brew and bag system, which is nice, it's really easy. If you're doing a small batch, if you're doing a 5-gallon batch or a 3-gallon batch, something like on your stovetop, you can maintain the temperature through mash the same way. A common method is also to use coolers for mashing. And you're trying to start with your temperature and maintain it with that cooler and that insulation to keep that temperature in the range you want it to be. It's difficult because you can't heat that up. You're in a plastic cooler, you can't add heat to it. So most folks will add more hot water, and you can do calculations of what temperature that water needs to be to add to it to get to your desired temperature to maintain it. It can be frustrating. Nowadays, there's fantastic equipment. There are electric cook kettles that you can use as a mash tun, and you can maintain your temperatures. That's really nice. Not everyone has that equipment, wants to spend the money on that equipment. So this is a way of doing it. Trying to brew a beer exactly like someone else's recipe and expecting the same result, it's a little bit difficult because you have to establish your own processes, your own equipment. You really have to put the work and the time in and experiment in how you do it. It's different for everyone. Most people don't have the similar equipment that I have. A lot of people have much more modern equipment. You have to put the time in. You have to experiment with it. And that's how you're going to get the best results. I am now going to go another 30 minutes, but I'm giving it a good mix and stir, making sure there's no dough balls and that everything is thoroughly mixed well, mixing it all up so there's a consistent temperature through the whole volume of the liquid. I have a temperature gauge on this. It's midway point on the keg. So it's measuring that temperature right in the middle. The temperature can be higher on the upper portion of the volume and lower on the lower portion of the volume. So I do stir it periodically. I have my method of insulating this. I switched to a ceramic fiber because I can apply heat to it on the bottom and it won't burn. This is used in pizza ovens and all kinds of things you could imagine. It can handle very high temperatures. That's how I insulate this now so that it's consistent as much as possible to maintain that temperature. Right now it's at 154 degrees. That's perfect. Over the next 30 minutes, it most likely will drop a couple degrees in Fahrenheit. So if it gets down to 152, perfect. 152 degrees Fahrenheit, that's perfect for me. But if I see that it gets down to like 151 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to add some more heat and I'm going to bring it back up to 154 degrees and let it sit. All right, it's been another 30 minutes. It's sitting at 152 degrees Fahrenheit. That's great. It dropped from 154 to 152 over that 30 minutes. I did take a pH reading. I wanted to make sure it was sitting at an optimal range. It was at 5.6, which is fine. I did add 1.5 milliliters of lactic acid because I just wanted to bring it down a little bit. 5.2 to 5.6 is perfect. Anywhere in that range I'm comfortable with. I like to do a 90-minute mash to make sure all the starches are converted into sugars. I know with patience and time it fully converts. Experience has taught me that over and over again. So I just like to do 90 minutes. I like to do as large of a volume mash as possible. The highest water to grain ratio as possible for that mash. I think it helps with my consistency for the best conversion. I still will sparge with a few gallons of water, and I'll do that to still rinse the grain, maximize every sugar I can get out. The sparge water that I'm using to rinse will help account for what boils off, what's absorbed in the grain, so that I still achieve that volume that I want. Using this method, I get a very consistent end product from my recipes that I'm doing, and I stick to. I make very few changes to my recipes, I experiment with. I try to maintain the same temperatures, the same volumes, the same amount of grain, and get a consistent beer in the end. I recommend getting a good pH meter and keep it calibrated. Also, for temperature control, I recommend getting a good thermometer. Consistent temperature readings are really important for consistency as well. Get good gauges and maintain them. It's worth it. All right, that's at 154 degrees. I'm gonna go another 30 minutes before I move on to mash out, where I'll increase the temperature. Okay, so the mash is complete. So now I'm gonna mash out. I'm gonna get the temperature up to about 165 degrees just to totally finish the conversion and the whole process so that I can move on to sparging and boiling. Once I get it to 165 degrees, I'll hold that for 10 minutes. That sparge water is heating up right now. I use the Camden tablet in my sparge water as well, well, part of a tablet, to get rid of any chloramine in that water. I also added a little lactic acid to get the pH down too in the sparge water, because I want that to be in that range too. 5.6 is fine. I did my mash rest for 10 minutes at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I've drained most of it out into my cook kettle, and I'm gonna sparge, which is just to rinse what's left out of the grain, the sugars, all of it out, and bring up my volume for boil. I'm shooting for 11-gallon batch, so I hope to get about 13 gallons to make sure I have plenty of wiggle room for boil off. My sparge water is 170 degrees. That slightly higher temperature helps liquefy the sugars to get it out of the grain, to thoroughly rinse it all out. It's about 3 gallons of sparge water. There it goes. It's draining. All right, so I'll finish that out, and then I'll get the mash tun out of here and cleaned up, get the cook kettle put back on for the boil. Okay, we're almost at the boil. I've got the propane backed off just a little bit. The proteins come out at boil, and it will foam and make a huge mess. And I will gently start trying to break up this protein foam so that it doesn't boil over. It's a nice brown head on there. I haven't boiled over in a long time, and I don't want to do it again. It's a huge malty mess. It smells fantastic. Very malty. Okay, that is boiling. Just turned it up a little bit so I can get a little bit more of a vigorous boil. I want the boil to be as vigorous as possible without making a huge mess. You know, a nice rolling boil's fine. Okay, that's boiling nicely. I'm going to go ahead and add my first round of hops. I'm going to do a 60-minute boil with half of my hops, and then I will boil for another 30 minutes with the other half. I'm using Kent Golding. It's a traditional English hop for a brown ale. It's 4.8% on the alpha, and I'm using it just to bitter. It does have a little citrusy, a little spicy notes to it, but you're not going to get much of any of that when just using it for bittering. This is a malt forward beer. That's what I want it to be. It's not hop forward, and I'm not looking to get much out of the hop flavor. Just want to find a balance. All right, we'll let that go for 60 minutes. All right, we've been boiling for 60 minutes, so now I'm going to add my last hop addition. That was 1.5 ounces of Kent Golding for the 60-minute boil. Now I'm going to add the rest, which is another 1.5 ounces of Kent Golding for another 30-minute boil. Once again, this is all just for bittering. That's a total of 3 ounces of Kent Golding for this batch. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, it's in. 30 more minutes of boil. The last 10 minutes, I'll add Whirlfloc to help settle out the proteins. It's a hot side fining, making sure that it's a clear beer. In goes the rest of the Whirlfloc I have, which is just refined kegging. All right, that's flame out. It's done, it's over. Now I'm gonna chill this down as fast as I can. All right, my chiller's fully sanitized. It's going in. I'm gonna run water. It runs through this copper coil, back out in my swimming pool. So I'm able to conserve some water. At least it goes back into my pool. Gravity feeding from my cook kettle up on the top of the stairs in my basement. All right, it's flowing good. It's a really nice looking brown color so far. That looks great. This is the only time you want to get oxygen in there. So before you pitch the yeast, you want to aerate it. You would only ever aerate at cooler temperatures. I was able to use my copper coil when I was chilling the beer. I realized I could forcefully bring it up and down, and the coils were aerating the beer. I was going, this is the first time I thought of that idea to do that. So I feel it's already pretty well aerated. All right, I'm gonna fill this fermenter, and then I'll pitch my yeast. I'm gonna take my sample for my initial gravity reading. I have my sample off to the side so I can take my gravity reading later. And now I'm gonna pitch the yeast. I got the beer, well, the wort down to about 66 degrees. And this yeast that I'm using, it's Imperial Yeast Pub. It's a good English yeast. It's very high flocculation, so it will all settle out for a very clear beer. It can have some esters with it, but this is kind of your classic yeast strain for this type of brown ale, like an English brown ale. And I'm going to add 400 billion cells, so 2 packs. I'm going to add the tilt. I like it for a thermometer more specifically than the gravity reading. I like to compare it to my hydrometer readings too. I will add some water to my airlock, and we're good to go. We wait 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. I'm excited to keg up this brown ale. It's ready to go. I'm going to do a closed loop gravity transfer now. I'll do that every time. I'm going to hook that up. I'm going to take my sample for my gravity reading. I sit this off to the side. I'll take my reading later. So it's a pressure transfer. As the beer fills the keg, it pushes the CO2 out and back into the fermenter, and it's a closed loop. That is transferring nicely. Color looks great on the beer. It already looks very clear as well, so that's nice. I'm gonna fill this one up, and then I've got my other one ready to go. Of course, both of these were completely sanitized, and I pushed the sanitizer out with CO2, so there's no oxygen in these either. I'm gonna get this carbonated into the kegerator and ready to drink.